Hey, everybody, it's Matt Michaels here on the Vegas Badboyz of Podcasting with Simon Street and DJ Impact. And today we welcome one of our favorite people here in Las Vegas, our favorite people in wrestling, Impact Wrestling's very own Kenny King. What's going on, Kenny? Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you boys too. It's always good to be back. It's beautiful out here enjoying this beautiful Vegas day. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you, it's 10 years, 2012, when you first came technically back into TNA. Um, and TNA went from TNA to Impact Wrestling over the past decade. Now that you're back, what is the main difference that you've seen between what it was like back then and what it's like right now?
I would just say that behind the scenes, it's ran by it's ran in a different, in much more like a player coach environment. There's more. It's a lot less. How do I be politically correct? Right. There's a lot of more people who've done the job, so they kind of know what it's like. It's a different feel as far as the way that things are ran. Things are delegated a little bit more evenly.
Sure.
And it just feels there's a different feel in the locker room, a different feel backstage. So because in any iteration of Impact or TNA that I've ever been in, the locker room's always been the least of the issues.
Right.
The work, the um, the characters, the everything was always what was keeping it alive. So it's good to have kind of both sides even out a little bit.
Yeah. And just to let listeners and viewers know, Impact Wrestling is here in Vegas this weekend. It's Friday the 21st, Saturday the 22nd. It's the Sin City Showdown at Sam's Town Casino, and it's at 7 p.m. So get your tickets now. And it's going to be wonderful to see you again in Vegas in an Impact ring, which that hasn't been seen in a long time. So that's
Never.
fun. Yeah.
Oh, no. There was a time at the Orleans, I think. That was the only time. But I've never wrestled at Sam's Town for Impact. Every time been for Ring of Honor, which has been crazy. But yeah.
So you know what? I gotta ask Kenny King. You 41, I'm 41. All right. The difference is when I look at you and I see you in the ring, you don't move like a 41-year-old. I need to know, what is the secret, man? What kind of supplements you taking? What are you doing? You hanging upside down on a little back squat, whatever it is. You gotta let me know, man, because when I see you in the ring, you spry like a 27-year-old.
What you don't see is me when I get back to that locker room. That's what you don't see. You don't see me in that hotel room later. That's what you don't see. I'm blessed though. I do a lot of preventative maintenance, man. I do a lot of. I'm into yoga. Bikram hot yoga is one of the things. I mean, knock on wood grain, but like, it's one of the things that's helped my career a ton as far as injuries and just kind of maintenance and my joints and whatnot. I don't. I listen to my body, and I think that's the number one thing. As we start to get older, we still have this mindset of, nah, bro, I can do that. I did this once. I jumped off this thing twice. My knees should be fine. That's not it. That's not it. You have to listen to your body, and as much as your ego might tell you, oh, bro, you can still do this. You can still do that. Your body's going to tell you, let Trey Miguel do that. He got them young men, right? So it's learning and being honest with myself and say, all right, well, yes, I did do that. That was nice, but maybe if I did this, learning how to adjust your style, learning how to adjust the things that you do is kind of promoting longevity.
Now, kind of a follow-up with that question is, you see a lot of, wrestlers kind of extend their career. Now, that's not like that's nothing that has been done before, but we're starting to see more of, like you kind of stated, that consciousness, right? Do you see that more prevalent, with people that are up there in age like yourself, to where they're still able to be at a high level. Well, I'm saying, like, no, I'm keeping it real, But the thing is,
real.
but I'm saying your body of work is that literally for a long time ago, 41-year-old might start showing some cracks. You haven't, man. You've been steaming up almost the same as back when you were in TNA Impact Wrestling, at least from what I'm seeing from a product standpoint. So are you starting to see that that's something along the lines of a lot of people that's getting up there in age, like being more conscious? And you think that that's really part of the game?
Well, I think, man, and this is no shade at all, right? But I think my generation is the group that kind of came up with the Cauliflower Alley Club, right? And Cauliflower Alley is a very prestigious organization. It's a great way for guys who've older in the business still get their props and still kind of reunite, and it's a way to mix the older generations and the newer generations kind of together, right? But I can remember seeing some of those guys and seeing how it took them a long time to walk across the floor and do some of those things. And these guys wrestled in like the 70s and the 80s, where a standing suplex was a go home, and
right.
Some of the things that we do now wouldn't even be thought of. So I think that what you're seeing from, at least guys of my generation, like Frankie Kazarian is another example of this. Frankie is another guy who just timeless. Caprice Coleman is another example of this. I think we're starting to see, we saw that that was maybe our destiny, and maybe looked and said, okay, maybe there's a different way. Maybe we can start taking care of ourselves a different way. Maybe we can look at this is the latter half of our life. Whenever I decide to hang it up, I got a lot more years to live. So I don't want my life to be a constant testament to my wrestling career. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about is how do I still do this at a high level, but still kind of, maintain my health, because that's important too.
When you got the opportunity to come into Impact Wrestling, what was it about joining in with Honor No More that did it give you a little rejuvenation and a little like, hey man, this is going to be a fun little opportunity to come in here and just kind of shake things up a little bit? Because it was one of our favorite things to see you show up with that group, man. And I think that it was just, almost, with all that stuff that's out there now on the internet and you kind of get stuff ruined, for me, that wasn't a spoiler that I saw coming. And it was just awesome to see you. What was that opportunity like?
I'm eternally grateful to Impact Wrestling, with Ring of Honor kind of evaporating at the end of last year. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of concern, right? And Impact, I've been speaking to D'Lo for a while, and he had even, I remember one time when I'd re-signed with ROH, he kind of, jokingly told me off, like, why don't you ever tell me when your deal's up? Blah, blah. I'm like, damn, D'Lo, I didn't even know it was a thing. So, we stay in communication, and getting that, having that communication, when getting that contact, like, hey, this is what we like to do. This is who we like to do it with. And the best things in wrestling are the things that kind of blur the lines of reality, and the things that you can kind of see. Are they talking? Are they shooting? Is this real? Or what are they saying? And I think Honor No More was an opportunity to kind of do that, to jump in, to maybe air some grievances, to lift the curtain a little bit behind some of the things that and nothing that was said by any member at any time was untrue, or even a shoot. It's just kind of how something like that can happen in any company, right? So it's just the industry in general, and I think that's what made Honor No More kind of different, because it wasn't just we're just not railing on Ring of Honor. Lots of people, anybody in this business who's been here long enough knows that wrestling business don't have much love for you. It's a lovely business, but as a pro wrestler, you have to realize the business doesn't love you. So, and that's kind of where we took it, and I feel like that's why it worked.
DJ Impact, you're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm having all types of little connection issues in my car, Bluetooth not working, whatever. So I kind of heard a little bit of what was said there, Kenny. I'm first off, um, I watch Impact on a regular basis. Always a huge fan. I will tell you this: going back to Honor No More, to me, it was something that was just done. I think it was done just correctly when the whole thing happened with Ring of Honor, and you had guys that split over to Impact and guys that split over to AEW. And of course, this is just my opinion. I just thought Impact was just more prepared with coming out with the entire I don't know more. The storyline was great. You literally had guys that were upset at what happened with their company, with their business. And now listen, all that honor that we spoke of, because that, of course, honor was a part of Ring of Honor's code. There's no more honor. And I just thought overall it was just very well put together. With what we were watching, and even up to this past week's show, the storyline still goes with Matt Taven saying, "Hey, Scott D'Amore has something against us still after 10 months of being here." I just got to ask you, did you really think that Honor No More was really just going to become as big as it is? And, do you think it was actually just done right as the transition was coming out of Ring of Honor over into Impact?
I feel like it had to be done right. And I feel like that's the only reason why any of us kind of signed on for it. We kind of knew what we wanted, once we knew who was involved in it, then we kind of knew that we were going to make it ours, and a certain way that we wanted to push it. So I do think it was done right. I do think that the layers of it, and then because invasion angles, man, they're passe. It can go one way or it can go the other, but this wasn't necessarily an invasion angle as much as it was kind of like an invasion and like unveiling Mr. McMahon as the chosen one, like Eddie Edwards. Mm-hmm. Eddie Edwards really hurt some people with that, I mean, people were really sick at Eddie Edwards when he hit Rhino with that kendo stick. So and it just made perfect sense. Like, Eddie is the crown jewel of this, because who's been hosed by Impact more than Eddie, right? Like, you tell me, and this is something I thought even when I was with Ring of Honor, I was like, you mean to tell me with all the AEW Impact crossover, Eddie Edwards can't get a match on Dynamite or it's like, what? Eddie Edwards,
right?
Eddie Edwards can't. So,
right.
So Eddie had a legitimate axe to grind, and then just the way that it was put together, all of us. I mean, and it can fall apart if you don't have the mouthpieces to follow the action, right? We can jump and beat people up all we want, but if we can't carry the story with the promos and the mouthpieces, and that's another reason why it worked out so well, is because you have so many different dynamic when you're trying to put these promos together. Like, we're just trying to not make it a Vincent promo, not make it a Kenny King promo, not make it a Taven or Bennett thing. And so it was like, well, how can we just mix this? What's the right, if it's like recipe, what's the right amount of this? What's the right amount of Kenny? What's the right amount of Taven? And I feel like we found that recipe with our backstage promo. We found the recipe with the on-stage promo. So it was as good as that sort of an angle as I feel like you could do or has been done in a long time.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So the thing that you had mentioned is creating these promos to where, like, it blends a little bit of reality, something that's believable, right? The one thing that I do like about Impact and Ring of Honor fans is that they tend to be a little bit more engaged in their product and a little bit more realistic. So for them, they're not just seeing Kenny King. They're looking at Kenny King and looking up what he's done in the background. They're looking up, Taven, seeing what he's done in the background. They love that. And that's the great thing about Impact wrestling fans as well as RH fans, which is now kind of blended in together. The great thing that I like, why that transpired, in my opinion, that really went well, was because when you look at the body of work that is Kenny King, is you see a company guy, right? You see a guy that, if you look deeper, he's somebody that is tutelaging the younger generation and training people. So when you came in, it was like, whoa, it's like, okay, the company guy. It was almost like, to a certain extent, like, if you were an Avenger, you'd be Falcon. Like, oh, wow, Falcon's pissed? Oh, shit. So again, kudos to y'all for coming to like brainstorming those ideas, because it really did make it to where it wasn't just complainers. It was really a legitimate gripe. And I'm sure that's probably what you guys were kind of going for. The reason why I bring that up is because now that you're in Impact Wrestling, right, officially, you trained that in a Chris Bay, which is rising star, on and going, and you were a huge part of that career. How does that feel, first and foremost, but also too the fact that y'all will be crossing paths, and he's going to be a challenger? How do you feel about that?
I mean, I one of the things I always say about Chris Bay is that, when I talk to like other guys who train people, I say, and I look at Chris Bay and I point at him and say, my Padawan is way fresher than yours, right? Like, my Padawan is the freshest one out here, man. He is. I mean, Chris Bay is, and he's that dude, right? Like, and I knew it from very, very early on. One of my favorite Chris Bay stories is early on. We're training, and he says to me something about, I think ROH is coming in town. He's like, hey man, how do I get some Bullet Club merch? And I looked at him and I was like, bro, you better worry about getting some Chris Bay merch. Don't worry about no damn Bullet Club merch. You want to spend money on Bullet Club merch while you training? And now Chris Bay has Bullet Club merch, right? So, that's a dude that I am just incredibly proud of. He does it the right way. He's doing it the right way. He's his skill set. He's always improving his skill set. He's always improving himself. Seeing him sign, continuously sign deals with the company and continuously be a hot commodity in the industry, it just makes me happy. And I'm already one up on him this year, so you know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna not mention that. But there's gonna come a time where that speed we talked about is gonna even out maybe a little bit, and he might surpass me, but that maybe not this year, maybe not 2023 neither.
Ooh, love it.
DJ Impact, do you have another question there? Do you have another question?
I'll just ask just one quick one, and I'll be done, because it's funny. I can only hear like my volume is on like level 10, so I gotta listen really closely. But Kenny, going back to the training thing, I wanted to ask you: was training something that you always wanted to do, or did somebody saw you and said, Kenny, you should also train? And so you thought about it, and then you decided to do it, and you come to enjoy it. What was it more? Someone told you, or you always wanted to do it?
I don't think it's ever something that I thought that I would do. I thought that it was just, that was just kind of a thing that you did when you were done wrestling, and or how they say, those that can't do teach, or whatever, like that kind of thing. And I always say to my students now, but there's a ton of money in the wrestling business, right? Not all of it is in the ring. So there's a need for trainers as much as there's a need for managers, and there's all sorts of things that make this thing go. And I think it was how I started was I just started running seminars at FSW, and I would run seminars, like once every 2 weeks or whatever when I was home, and I think it was watching people progress, and then as I would, 2 weeks later, I'd maybe run another seminar and see like, hey man, I was working on this, and then seeing people progress, and then not only the progression, but like it just did something to the 2002, 2003 Kenny that was in those shoes, that was hungry, that was, leaving work and coming to wrestling practice and had my training click, and we'd, get beat up and go to Denny's together and all that, you know what I mean? Like this, the shit that happens before contracts and politics and all that other, and where I live now. And that is why I still do it. That's what keeps me in the game, is because they're so hungry, and they're so there's just an energy to that, man. There's an energy to because my number one question is like, why do you want to do this? And I listen, and I don't think, well, there is one wrong answer, right? The only wrong answer is I want to be John Cena. I want to be The Rock. I want to make $1 million, right? Because there's only one of those. There's only one John Cena. There's only one, and there's a whole lot of us, right? So if you decide to start wrestling training while thinking that, then that's an unattainable goal. But as long as it's something that comes from, man, I love this all my life. I watched this with my dad. I knew this was something, wherever it comes from, as long as it comes from in here, then we can work with that. That is, not every one of my trainees is the most athletically and physically talented, but all of them got heart. And all of them want to do this, and all of them know that you're risking physically debilitating yourself for the rest of your life to do this. And all of them are like, I'll see you on Wednesday. So if they're willing to give me that, then I give them what I got.
Yeah, it's incredible to hear that philosophy and to know all the people that you've influenced over the years, which is remarkable. As we kind of get to wrap up here, I just wanted to remind people it's the Sin City Showdown this Friday and Saturday, 21st and 22nd, here in Las Vegas at Sam's Town Casino, 7 p.m. start. Kenny, now that you've settled into Impact, now that you've got it going, is there someone on that roster that you've never worked in the ring before that you're looking forward to potentially getting the opportunity to?
Yeah, man, there's a couple guys who in my time away have kind of come in and stepped up and really have shown that they're the guys. Top on my list is the champ, man. Josh Alexander's proven why they call him the walking weapon, why he's the guy, because he's consistent. He's steady as they go, man.
Yep.
He's a hell of a guy. Got to watch that match with him and Eddie Edwards at Bound for Glory was a clinic. It was an absolute classic. So I'd love to be involved in something like that with Josh. I've never been in a one-on-one match with Moose.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that's one. And like another guy that I see that I feel like we would knock each other's heads off, Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin is a rough and tumble kind of cat that I feel like, okay, let's get to it,
Yeah.
And finally, you brought up Josh Alexander. I swore at Bound for Glory, I saw a little, I don't know, low blow. Did that actually happen, Kenny? Did someone give a low blow?
Who? Wait, I wasn't even down there. I was already back. So Scott Demore was watching to try to find anybody. I wasn't even down there, bro. That was Taven and Bennett, but they're gone. So find them.
Yeah. I guess, eyesight. I'm older than you are, so right.
That's you gotta wear your glasses when you watch this stuff.
Yeah, man. He got two pair of glasses, so you got one for far away and one for close up.
Yeah, man. You better wear your and trifocals, bro.
There you go. Hey, Kenny, I got not so much a question, but I wanted to say one last statement to you before we do wrap it up. I just want to say thank you so much for everything that you have done inside and outside of the ring, especially with bringing up, tutelaging younger people to get into this industry and hit them with the hard, quick questions. Because, I think one thing that we can all agree on is that we are fans of the product. And you have been one of, a group that's starting to get that's doing it the right way. You talked about Chris Bay doing it the right way. You are doing it the right way. And it's interesting to hear that you didn't even think that this was your calling in that direction. And you stepping into that really is preserving this industry, in a way to where lines can get blurred and corners can be cut. You make sure that you're cultivating the next talent to be solid and to be forthright and to do this the right way. So I just want to say I appreciate you.
Man, thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, it's not only seeing that, but seeing the fans, especially when we see you wrestle live in Vegas, their love and their reaction to everything you do, it just it blows my mind when I think back and I think of that young Kenny King that I used to watch, right? And it's just like, wow, man. It shows that when you put the time, you put the effort, and you keep a level head about things, that you accomplish what you say you're going to accomplish. And you did that. And I think that anyone who ever doubted you when you were younger now can look at you and go, man, that guy, he said he was going to do something and he set out and he did it and he's been successful. And I think that's one of the best things because Vegas, we love you. Everyone here loves you.
100%.
So, it's something that we just feel very passionate about Kenny King, man.
Well, thank you, man. This is one of the best times of year for me, being able to wrestle here and wrestle in front of these Vegas fans because like Vegas, quiet as quiet kept, man. Vegas has got some of the most rabid and most excited and energetic fans. It's not a place that you really think about. But over the last couple of years, Vegas has really got an opportunity to show that, Vegas can hang with Philly or Chicago or any of these other, major markets when it comes to fan base. So it's been really, it's been a pleasure for me to come from, when I first started, there was, you couldn't get 60 people at a wrestling show, and the fact that, casino shows wouldn't even look at wrestling. Get out of here,
I remember those guys.
Now it's a thing. Now, it's a real thing in Vegas. So I'm very proud. I feel very honored to be a part of that. And I'm just happy to keep doing what I do in front of you guys.
No doubt. Kenny, if you could do me one favor, man, go steal your intro theme that you had over at Ring of Honor and bring it over here to Impact. I need that K-I-N-G. Please bring that. Everything about that is hot.
Yes,
I agree. I will sneak preview this though. So I was supposed to debut. This is actually old news, but I was supposed to debut at Hard to Kill last year, and I got COVID. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't even know that I had it, right? But as I'm leaving, so I ended up driving back because they were like, well, you have to stay. I was like, yeah, I'm not staying in Dallas. So I ended up driving back from Dallas to Vegas. But as I'm leaving the hotel, I run into the Cottonmouth Kings, right? And a very long story about it is that I actually hijacked the Cottonmouth Kings logo for the Kenny King logo. Like when I first started, indie Kenny, right? And I had friends who were like, Cottonmouth King's gonna sue you. I'm like, they don't know who I am. I ain't worried about it. But fast forward, we might actually be in the process of putting some Cottonmouth King, Kenny King together. So we'll see how it goes.
Nice.
That's what's up.
Wow. Well, that's some exciting news, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude. See, but that's one of the things I think that you just can't put a value on, the fact that you just run into opportunities sometimes that you never know are coming. And if it wasn't for the fact that you had COVID and wanted to get the hell out of there, you probably wouldn't have bumped into them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man. Everything. Butterfly effect, right? Everything kind of just falls in the line.
Yep. Love it. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Again, thank you, Kenny King, for sitting down with us, man. We appreciate it. We hope that wrestling fans here in Vegas get their fill of Kenny this weekend. And man, it's going to be a pleasure seeing you wrestle the next 3 nights next 2 nights for Impact, and then there's another show on Sunday for a different company that I don't know if you mentioned, but we appreciate it.
3 nights.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys.